Good morning and welcome. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Natalie Fenimore, and along with the Reverends Jennifer Brower and Paul Johnson and our intern Oscar Sinclair, I serve this congregation as minister. You are invited to a complimentary luncheon at the UU Cafe if you are visiting with us today. Others of you are prepared to pay, I'm sure. It's a minimal amount, and it goes to help us to be a more welcoming congregation by providing lunches at the UU Cafe immediately following the service. It's a great time to get to know each other for fellowship and food. Please, if you are a guest and would like to come to the cafe, see Ben Borton. Ben, are you here in the room? Yes, see Ben Borton, our membership director, at the welcome desk, which is right outside in the lobby, for your ticket to the luncheon. If you're interested in more information about the congregation, please complete the blue newcomer card, which should be right in front of you in the pocket in the pews. Also, there's more material at the welcome table if you'd like to know more about us and get on our mailing list. While you are welcome to sit anywhere in the social hall for lunch, there are some particular tables set aside for newcomers, and that might help you to see the other newcomers who are here and give other people an opportunity to come and greet you and tell you about their experiences here at the congregation. Now, I also want to let you know that we're a very busy congregation. If you look inside your order of service to the insert, you'll see the many, many things in which we're doing. I invite you to take that and use it as a reference during the week to come and enjoy the many things that we have. Come to what speaks to you as a way of getting to know us. But I would like to lift up some particular things that are happening today and early on in the week. So today, we don't have classes per se for our children and youth. We have a special program for kindergartners through fourth graders down in room 15 in that end of the building, and that's because it's spring break. Today, we're also having a book sale after the service for Just Mercy, a story of justice and redemption by Brian Stevenson, which is the Unitarian Universalist Association annual read. Every year, we're invited to, as a body of faith, to take on a particular subject, to read a book together and be in common conversation. And this year, that book is Just Mercy. Today, members of the Mental Health Subcommittee will be in the lobby after worship to accept donations for their NAMI, the National Association for Mental Health, walkathon team. Also today, there is an art reception. The exhibit is called Common Humanity. It's from 1 to 3 in the art gallery, which is the room right here. And today, Get Growing Organic Gardening Workshop is presented by the Green Sanctuary Committee at 1:15. Also, although not today, but very close to today, we'll be having the Book of Ned White's retirement party. Ned is our Veach Executive Director, and I remind you that you need to RSVP by Tuesday, April 26th. The information is in your order of service. Also, I need to announce that the Art Committee is sponsoring a workshop on soul collage, and although the workshop takes place May 7th, you need to sign up in advance by April 27th, and it's sponsored by the Art Committee. Soul collage is a fun workshop with a trained leader. It uses pictures to explore yourself. Info is also available at a table in the lobby. This program was planned to coincide with the memorial service for Brian Foley, a longtime member of our congregation, and to honor his role in the congregation's art life. Now, I need to call your attention to a change in our usual order of service. For this service, I am asking that you not stand to light candles during the offertory. There will be a separate place for candle lighting. So I'm asking that you not stand to light candles during the offertory. This is one of 3 announcements of that fact. So that are planned in this service. So now, Hearing all of this, knowing what you know, looking out at the beauty of the day, I invite you, as is our custom, to greet your neighbor.
Our opening words this morning are adapted from Mark DeWolf. Let us take a few moments and feel the life moving through our bodies. With each breath, life is pulsing through us. Life, energy, movement, connection. Let us feel the spirit of life moving through ourselves. We are not isolated. We are alive with every green and every moving thing. Let us awaken to life, to wholeness, and to holiness. Will you please rise as you are able and join me in singing our opening hymn this morning, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. And will you please join me in the words of affirmation printed in your order of service and perhaps written in your heart. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other. Please be seated. We come now in our service to the time of offering. As part of our service every Sunday, we recognize that this place is sustained by what we all bring to it, gifts of our time, our talent, our treasure. And so we acknowledge that by taking an offering. I'd like to make the second of 3 announcements this morning. That this morning, during the offering, if you would remain seated, we'll have time to light candles later. So why don't you take this time to sit and reflect on all that you get from this place, all that you give to this place, what this place and this community mean to you. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Passover remembered. Pack nothing. Bring only your determination to serve and your willingness to be free. Don't wait for the bread to rise. take nourishment for the journey, but eat standing. Be ready to move at a moment's notice. Do not hesitate to leave your old ways behind, fear, silence, submission. Only surrender to the need of this time, to love justice and walk humbly with your God. Begin quickly, before you have time to sink back into old slavery. Set out in the dark. I will send fire to warm and encourage you. I will be with you in the fire, and I will be with you in the cloud.
I will give you dreams in the desert to guide you safely home to the place you have not yet seen. I am sending you into the wilderness to make a new way and to learn my ways more deeply. Some of you will be so changed by weathers and wanderings that even your closest friends will have to learn your features as though for the first time. Some of you will not change at all. Some will be abandoned by your dearest loves and misunderstood by those who have known you since birth and feel abandoned by you. Some will find new friendship in unlikely faces and old friends as faithful and true as the pillar of God's flame. Sing songs as you go and hold close together. You may at times grow confused and lose your way. Touch each other and keep telling the stories. Make maps as you go, remembering the way back from before you were born.
So you will be only the first of many waves of deliverance on these distant seas. It is first of many beginnings. Remain true to this mystery. Pass on the whole story. Do not go back. I am with you now, and I am waiting for you.
And so now, we'll have a time of lighting candles. Candles of remembrance, candles of hope, candles of joys and concerns, whatever we bring to this holiday, this Sunday, this time together. So we will take time to stand silently and come up and light a candle. May it be.
We have lit these candles in silence, calling into the room so much. And we call now among us the spirit of life, which is called by many names and is known as love. We offer our prayers, prayers which are a kind of deep settling into yourself, so that you may hear and feel ever more deeply. We offer these, our prayers for the world and for each other. May we be comforted by one another in our times of hurt, for we are often hurt. The earth itself is scarred. And may we be gathered together in times of joy, for we are often joyful. The laugh of a child, the opening of the tulips. Here, may there always be an open door. Here, may we always have a welcome heart. For this, we ask, it may ever be so. Amen. Thank you to the choir, to the band, and to Evan, who I will miss very much. So much change in the air. Yes, let me take a moment and acknowledge that there's so much change in the air. No matter how we feel about change, it's hard to absorb it. although we live in it. It's like the air around us, I think. I want to acknowledge that this morning I was asked to do an interesting thing. This is our annual service closest to Earth Day, and so it's usually our Green Sanctuary service. It's also Passover service, close to Passover. So I am asked this morning to consider the intersection of these two commemorations. The Jewish Passover and Earth Day. Now, I want to say that we celebrate both of them in a particular way. We celebrate both of them to form a connection to something beyond ourselves. We celebrate Earth Day to remember that we are connected to the earth, that we are grounded in it, part of it, and therefore responsible for maintaining it and maintaining our connection to it. It's not an abstraction, it is part of us. We are called to honor this connectedness, this interdependence. Passover is also a remembrance celebration. The Jewish people are asked to remember by reenactment, to embody and experience and renew it generation upon generation. This story of a people is firmly rooted in their historical connection to a land, to a physicality, to a place. And the Jewish rituals like Passover, like Sukkot, where you stay out in a covered shed-like place to replicate the journey of pastoral people connected to the land, the harvest, to have a harvest festival. There are many festivals and many traditions like this that call you back to your rootedness. Now, I do not personally believe that the Passover story is a historical fact. I am in agreement with the theologian and author, writer Karen Armstrong, who understands the Exodus experience as an experience of immigration, migration, exile, competition for land, and the formation of a peoples in waves and waves over generations in the ancient lands of the southern Mediterranean. Still, fact, not fact, this is the story of a people's formation, of their rise from feeling themselves slaves to knowing themselves free. And this story was always honored and cherished as a spiritual cornerstone, a way of understanding spiritual experience itself for me in my African American faith tradition, in my community. This was the story of how to understand yourself free. While the story of Passover is a particular Jewish story, it is also a universal human story. It is an affirmation that no matter what place in this world powers and principalities have assigned to you, you are equal in the concern of the holy. You are equal in the mind, in the heart of the holy. Your cries as slave or free are heard by God. So I believe in the spiritual truth of the Exodus. And our Unitarian Universalist principles affirm that to us as well. It is also the case that no matter the place in this world that powers and principalities assigned to you, you are equal in relation to one another and in relationship to the earth. We are peoples of this land. We are one creation. There is no other earth for us. In the Passover story, the Hebrews become the slaves in Egypt, serving a Pharaoh who believes that everything is there to serve his greatness. The people and the resources of the land are his to use as he wishes. And in that Passover story, the plagues that rain down on the Pharaoh's land because the Pharaoh will not bend toward justice, these plagues where the water turns to blood, frogs overrun the land, lice infest the people and the animals, wild animals invade the cities. Disease kills all domestic animals. There is an affliction of boils upon the people. A hail of fire and ice rain down from the sky. Locusts cover the land, followed by a thick darkness, a darkness so thick you can feel it. And finally, there's the death of the firstborn. Can't this be seen as an end of the world vision of the physical world gone mad, the ultimate of pollution and destroyed creation? Creation turning on itself in reaction to the human choice to reject justice and equality and compassion and interdependence. The Jewish environmentalist and peace activist Rabbi Arthur Washkoff asks if today's corporate polluters are not the new pharaohs, profiting while unconcerned for others, unconcerned for the future of the earth. So, what are the learnings from the formation story of the Jewish people that lends themselves to a theological foundation of a religious mandate for environmentalism? Rabbi Lawrence Troster lifts up these essential environmental teachings found in Judaism. There is one creator of us all. And we are, as he quotes from Chronicles, sojourners with the Creator, mere transients like our ancestors. Our days on earth are like a shadow. And therefore, he says, we must consider our use of this creation with a view to future generations. Another teaching. This creation is good. It is sufficient. It is ordered. It is structured. It is harmonious. It is our task to keep it so. Human beings are created in the image of the Creator, and therefore, like the Creator, humans have the ability to disrupt creation. We humans have the God-like capacities of power, consciousness, and free will, and it is the human impulse towards selfishness and inequality that can cause this imbalance in creation. Earth is morally sensitive to human misdeeds. Humanity should view their place in creation with love and awe. When we study creation with the tools of human modern science, we are filled with love and a sense of connection to this greater order of things. Science does not necessarily automatically ask us to separate ourselves from creation. It can show us how we are bound to it, one with it. A spiritual understanding of our connectedness and a rational understanding of our connectedness are possible. When, in the words of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, we see the world as God-centered and not human-centered by putting God, which is his language, but we might say the Spirit, we might say love, we might even say reason, putting that at the center of life. We see the sacred in everything, and the natural world becomes a source of wonder, and not only a source of something to be used and abused by us, for us. And the Torah. The Torah prohibits the wasteful consumption of anything. The Torah gives an obligation to save human life. In the Jewish tradition, the public good overrides the individual's desire. The Torah prohibits the extinction of species and causing undue pain to non-human creatures. In environmental terms, every species has an inherent value beyond its value as useful to human beings. And so, environmental justice can be seen as a Jewish value, something brought forward from those journeys in the desert, an understanding of what is needed for life and what is not life-giving. The Jewish concept of righteousness, of justice, and equity demands that we create a worldwide economy that is sustainable, and that is equitable, that distributes wealth and resources for the good of all. There is a midrash. You know, a midrash is when rabbis sit around and they look at the Bible, at the Torah, at the Hebrew text, and they see the places where there's a little bit more that could be said, a little bit more. You know, what is so wonderful and magical for me about everybody's sacred text is the places where there's space. You notice, sometimes you're thinking, why didn't they just tell me everything? Why didn't they put down all the words? If they knew so much, if God had come and spoken to them, why didn't they say exactly what was said? There are these spaces where it says, well, and then something happened. Midrash is a study of what was that something? How might we think about that something? How might we move into that space with what we know now, with our conversations? Because I think the reason that those spaces are there is because what happened then and what happened now are not exactly the same. Who we were then and who we are now is not exactly the same. Those spaces were there for you to put yourself in, to say that the story isn't all written until you come into the space. So one midrash is this. When God created the first human being, God led them around the Garden of Eden, and God said, look at my works. See how beautiful they are, how excellent. For your sake, I have created them all. Now you see to it that you do not spoil it. You see to it that you do not destroy my world. For if you do, there is no one else to repair it. Now that's a burden and a challenge. It's also a gift. Think of it, this version of God as being like a parent saying to a child, I give you this gift of responsibility. I give you this gift of holding together this thing that I brought into existence. Now, there's one point in your life when you may feel, oh, I don't know, that's too much. But then isn't there another point in your life when you think, wow, someone thinks I can do that. Someone thinks I'm worthy of that task. Maybe I am worthy of that task. Maybe we are worthy of that task. Maybe this is an affirmation of us and our worthiness. In Jewish liturgy, there is a prayer which asks that the world be soon perfected under the sovereignty of God. Tikkun Olam, the perfecting or the repairing of the world, has become a major theme in modern Jewish social justice theology. It is usually expressed as an activity which must be done by humans in partnership with God. It is an important concept in the light of the task ahead in environmentalism. In our ignorance and our greed, we have damaged the earth and silenced so many of the voices in the choir of creation. Now we must fix it. There is no one else to repair it but us. In this Jewish environmental philosophy, we are all connected with creation. And isn't it the same as we state in our Unitarian Universalist principles? We covenant and affirm to promote the respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. People on differing faith journeys, wandering on different paths, perhaps in different directions from time to time, can all come to this common place of agreement about the sacredness of creation and the beauty of the earth. What I tell people often when they come to preach here as guests, I say, isn't it wonderful that we have the windows? Because you can imagine everyone is looking at you, even when they are not, but still it is one sermon, is it not? Inside and out. One creation, one beauty we try to hold dear. Not all who wander are lost. During our individual and collective wilderness journeys, we will find ourselves, of course, being challenged. We will learn. We will grow. We are forming our new selves. What do we learn in those wanderings? In our seeming lostness, because we are experiencing a lostness around our environmental issues. We are not always certain what to do to save the earth and thereby ourselves, and we are definitely not sure that there is time enough to do enough to save the earth and ourselves. We are sometimes without hope. We are in despair. We are lost and wandering. But Unitarian Universalist theologian Reverend Rebecca Parker has written that religious tradition can show a path. It can give us some clues. But when a person or a community is up against the wall, facing a dead end in an alleyway, tradition at best serves as a nudge to take the next step. Whatever it is, whether it's to try the closed door or to turn to face into suffering humanity with courage, or both. She also reminds us that revelation comes to those who are radically hospitable to what they do not know. The choice to take the next step is an act of holy curiosity. It could also be called an act of faith. To those who move in the midst of mystery and silence, even when trembling and afraid, the face of God sometimes appears. New waves of speaking of God arise from the luminous dark. Revelation is not sealed. In the course of our struggling for justice, we may meet a tender shoot of something green Will it be possible for us to see the divine in this tender shoot of something green that Parker speaks of? It is both action to save the planet that is needed and an internal awareness, a change of human heart and perspective that is called for, a belief that we are truly indeed an interconnected relationship with the whole of creation, not just lip service to it, but an actual living into that belief, changing ourselves inside in response to that belief. Perhaps we will have to make of ourselves a new people in order to save the world. In the words of the Canadian First Nations environmentalist Clayton Muller, we should not be asking ourselves only, what earth are we going to leave our children, but what kind of children are we going to raise to take care of our earth? Remember, do not hesitate to leave your old ways behind. Surrender to the need of the time. So may it be. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 1064 in the teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. These are the words of Isaiah. For you shall go out in joy and be led back in peace. The mountains and the hills before you shall burst into song, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands.